There we go. Okay, our announcements. Instead of announcements this week, I chose to put up a screenshot of our week 2 assignment since we've had a change. So I want everyone to be aware of that. First of all, let me get my little pointer, and I'll use my sunshine since it's a beautiful day. In week 2, you'll notice what I like students to do is at the first of the week sort of focus on the left-hand side of the screen. So example, your readings this week should be chapters 5 and 6. You have media, PowerPoints, which are also chapter 5 and 6, and then you have a lecture booster down here. So if you start with the left, each week you're doing great. Next, move on to our discussion boards. 2.1 was due last night. Also, our live lecture is, of course, Wednesday at 1 p.m. And if you miss it, the live lecture file submission is right down there. Okay, so assignments. This is where the change is happening. Assignments. Assignment 2.1 will now be due Thursday at midnight instead of Tuesday at midnight. Also, assignment 3.1 and assignment 4.1. So your first assignment of each week, instead of being due Tuesday by midnight, is now due Thursday by midnight. They decided to make a little change in the format, and I am all for it. So I hope you guys are okay with that too. Yes! Okay, wonderful, wonderful. It gives you a few more days to sort of digest the chapters, get a little extra work done, and you don't have as much to do on Tuesdays right away, and that's great too. Also, part 2 of our course project you should be working on this week, and remember, you don't have to turn anything in for that right now. This is just for a guide for you to try to stay up and break that final project into little bites. And then lastly, our week 2 quiz, which will be due Saturday by midnight, and I couldn't resist putting this little quote in here. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. Yes. Okay, our next slide here. Final project. Last week, your sort of guideline for the final project was to begin this section. Most of the information that you'll need to do this is located in chapters 1 or 3. If you're a little lost, maybe you don't understand what the category of buyer is, be sure and refer to your chapter, okay? So you should have, hopefully already, selected the product that you're going to sell as a professional sales associate, define your target audience, pick your approach. Now notice it says you can choose one or more, and I would really like to focus on that more. You're probably not going to have just one sales approach, okay? Define your category of buyer, describe what your buyer's needs are, what category your buyer's needs fall into, and describe the must-have and delighters of the product. So I hope that you've either already got this done, or at least you're thinking about it. It's in your brain, and it's in process. Can I get an amen? Has anybody started working on this one yet? Blanca, Chris? Did anything for week 1? Yes, fantastic, good answer. Not yet. Blanca, very, very honest. That's fine too. Be sure and try to start getting caught up though. I don't want you to wait till the last minute because it's a good size project. Not completed, but almost. That's fantastic, Chris. Great. Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. So for this week, for week 2, you need to look in chapters 5 and 6 of your textbook, and you're going to write a executive summary, list your customer needs and propose solutions, develop a seller profile, the pricing of your product, and a sales agreement, and suggested action and timetable. So you're going to need to break down some of the specifics of this strategic prospecting plan, okay? And again, refer to chapter 5 and 6 if you need any help there. So that's what you should be doing this week. Okay, but for today, we're going to look at Chapter 5 in our book, Strategic Prospecting and Preparing for Sales Dialogue, which is so important. First, let's look at why buyers won't see salespeople, because sometimes we get kind of a bad taste in our mouth when we hear that word, salespeople, salesperson. Number one, they may have never heard of the salesperson's firm. And if you think about it, personally, you like to go with people you either know or a friend knows or a company that you know or have heard of, and it really pays to get your name out there. They may have just bought the salesperson's products category and they presently have no need for them. So maybe they're stocked up on widgets. They don't need any more widgets at this time, and it's going to be very hard to sell them any, right? Here's an example that I thought of. Have either of you guys heard of a company called Fabletics? If you've been on Facebook recently, you may have seen this. You haven't, Blanca. Chris, have you heard of Fabletics? This may not be a target on Facebook for you, because this is mainly for females. So I'm guessing that's why it's coming up, because I'm one of their target customers. You don't have Facebook. Okay, Blanca. Well, this is where I'm seeing it quite a bit now, so they must really be focusing in that area. First of all, the name Fabletics. There's just something about it that I don't like. I don't know what it is. It's sort of hard to say. The name doesn't really flow. Second of all, it was actually started by Kate Hudson, who's beautiful, the daughter of Goldie Hawn. She's one of their salespeople. It is fitness clothing, Chris. You got it. You got it. Did you just look that up? Good job. Researching while in lecture. You're great. Yes, so Fabletics, you'll often see pictures of Kate Hudson there in various workout gear. It's usually a sports bra and leggings. Really cute clothes. However, it's set up to be a monthly auto shipment thing. So you tell them what size you wear, what colors you like, what your primary forms of fitness are, what sports you do from time to time, and they will customize a top and a bottom for you every month that is auto shipped for you. The first month it's half price at $25, and after that it's $49 a month. However, going back to the subject, number two, they may have just bought the salesperson's product category and there is presently no need. This is how I kind of think on Fabletics. Can you really think of a person, maybe that you know, or a job category, we could focus on that, where they would need a new workout outfit every month? Exactly, maybe a fitness trainer, because they don't want to wear the same outfit every time, right? But as far as somebody that just casually works out, maybe goes to the gym a few times a week, this seems like a pretty big investment and a pretty big thing to sign up for, right? $50 a month, and you're going to get maybe somebody who runs marathons professionally, right? So to me, this would be too many workout clothes. I like the idea of it, but there's very few people. You're going to have a very small fan base on this. So keep an eye out on that and kind of see what you think too about Fabletics. Tell me what you think about that name too. I don't know what bothers me about it. Okay, number three, buyers may have their own deadlines on other issues. They are not in a receptive mood to see any salespeople. Sometimes you don't want to see them. Sometimes we don't want to see company at home. Number 4, buyers are constantly getting calls from salespeople and do not have the time to see them all. And this can definitely be a business in a larger company where maybe you're in charge of purchasing. And number 5, the gatekeepers, the people that you call first, it might be the gentlemen or ladies at the front desk in any organization, screen their boss's calls and sometimes are curt or even rude, which is true. Sometimes we just have to tell them no, right? So these are all reasons why some buyers won't see salespeople. Moving right along, I have a quick video to show you guys, and to be honest, I've never been able to get a video to work correctly in Blackboard Collaborate. However, one of my amazing instructor friends showed me how to do it, so fingers crossed. You've never been shown a video? Well, fantastic. It's a first for everyone, Chris. Let's see, fingers crossed if it works, okay? And this is just about 5 minutes long, okay? Let's see. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, so it played for a little bit is what it looked like, and then the video went away. Is that right? Oh, you never saw anything. I could hear it and see it on my end, so it never went ahead and transitioned into the board, did it? Well, maybe there's a reason for me to not show videos then. What I'll do, guys, is I'll send this video out as an email then, okay? So that you can see it, because it really is great. She talks about some of the different things that you can do to make a sell. One of the things that she brings up is the importance of just starting off with a positive note, saying hello to somebody, you know, having a smile on your face. And what they found was with room service waiters, if when they answered the door, if they started with a nice hello and a little report about the weather today, whether it was good or bad, it didn't matter, their tips went up 27%, which is a nice big jump, just by making that one change. It also talks about not gossiping about your competitor, and this is something that salespeople will sometimes do. And at the very end, she talks about colonoscopies and something that they did to make people receiving colonoscopies to have a better experience, and also it caused them to feel like the pain wasn't as great. So I would like for you guys to watch this video so that you know some of these great tips. And I'm sorry that didn't work out. Okay, Misty Green was able to use this from her home, so I thought for sure I could get it to work this time. We'll just move along anyway. Okay, the importance and challenges of prospecting, which is trying to mine out those customers, get your customer base. It's important to note that they are never permanent. Things happen. Salespeople may lose customers because of low satisfaction. They're not happy with your product or your service. Maybe a competitor has moved into town that's sort of stolen a few of your customers. Economic fluctuation can definitely have an effect on the extra money that customers have. And there's other forms of attrition as well. So for one reason or another, we can never control 100%, but we're always going to keep all the customers. The prospecting process can be long. It may take weeks. It may take months to replace the lost customer. But it also may take weeks, months, or years to actually build your initial customers. And what I found out, whenever we were running our business in Joplin, Missouri, it was a pet boarding facility called Green Acre Getaway. We boarded dogs, cats, wallabies, ducks. I had all types of strange animals that we watched from time to time. When I first opened up, we had our phone number, but the new phone book hadn't come out yet. So really our only form of advertising was a newspaper ad that I put in, which was pretty expensive, our signs that we had put up around our place, and then also just word of mouth. So we had a few customers and we were slowly building our base, but when the boom happened was when that new phone book came out. And our name was in it, and we got so busy we had to add a second kennel to help take care of all the animals that people were wanting us to watch over the weekends. So you have to sometimes be able to sit tight and wait for that customer base to build. And I know it sounds strange because just the other day we got a new phone book in the mail, and I said, when are they going to stop sending these out? Isn't this kind of an old-fashioned thing? But do you guys still look things up in the phone book? No, not at all, Blanca. So you use your phone? Haven't used one in years. Yes, and an interesting note, the younger generation basically don't even know how to use the phone book. One of my daughter's friends, who was about 14 at the time, we were going to order pizza. I didn't know the number, and I was driving down the road, and I gave her a phone book that I brought with her and said, here, would you look up the phone number for Mr. D's? And she was really quiet for a little bit. She's in the back seat of the truck, and she said, how do you use this? And I felt really old at that moment. Hi, gal. But it also made me realize, you know, how much of a difference we have. That's okay. I'm glad you were able to make it. Glad you're able to make it. No problem. So phone books anymore, would that have a huge impact on advertising? I'm not sure. It used to be you wanted to pick a name for your business that started with an A because it would be listed first in the yellow pages under that particular section. But nowadays, almost everybody uses their phone or their computer to look things up. Social networking, huge with any business. So our prospecting has changed a little bit over the years. It takes time, it takes some patience, and sometimes some money as well. If we look at the strategic prospecting process, if we start at the top, sales leads and suspects are generally generated from both internal and external sources. We've got to reach out. Lead generation methods should be managed by someone somehow, possibly a spreadsheet, possibly even just a piece of paper that people note who they've talked to. The qualifying process is this company or this person needing your product? Do they have the financial resources to purchase it? And do they have the authority to make the purchase decision? Sometimes when we're dealing with companies, we actually have to sort of search for the person that makes the decision and try to reach that person. Sales prospects, prioritize your prospect list and initiate any pre-call planning. And we're going to talk about that here in just a minute, pre-call planning. Here's some of our methods for prospecting. We can do what's called cold canvassing, cold calling, calling someone out of the blue, random numbers, blah, blah, blah. It's probably one of the least liked. Who doesn't like ignore the phone call if you know it's maybe from a salesperson, or maybe you're getting robocalled. So a lot of us do that. Also, cold canvassing can be referrals from other people from other businesses, or possibly just business introductions. Networking, centers of influence, non-competing salespeople. It's great to reach out. And electronic networking as well. Company sources, records, advertising, telephone inquiries, trade shows and seminars, and lastly, published sources such as business directories. Yes, they're out there. Some people still use these, and commercial leads list as well. Now, these sort of make me think of, I have two family members who sell health insurance and life insurance. And I thought I would probably really dislike doing that because aren't you just basically having to cold call people? And they said, no, no, no. We get the cards from the magazines where they're requesting more information. You know, those little dropout cards that come out of actual magazines. Well, their company sends those to them, and then that's how they prospect their customers. It's a little bit warmer than a cold call. The person is actually wanting your product and they're wanting to be contacted. So I think I could do that. For developing a strategic prospecting plan, you have to allocate your time. Time management is probably one of the most important things you'll do as an employee, as a business owner, as somebody providing services. No matter what you're in, your time management is so important, and it's important to try different methods. And if that one doesn't work, move on to the next one. I personally love our Google Calendar that we use along with our Gmail. It really helps keep me on track when meetings are. You too, Chris? Exactly. In fact, I usually tell my students if they don't have Gmail, they should try it out and check out the calendar. It'll send you reminders of when meetings are or when events are. So it's really an invaluable resource to me, and it's free, even better. Stay positive, develop confidence by knowing your product. And you know, a lot of you guys brought this up in our discussion board, that if you believed in a product and if you knew a product well, you could possibly then sell it, or you'd be a much better seller. And I think we really have to focus on that. And I say product, but I also mean service as well. We also have to set our goals, our weekly goals, our monthly goals. I can't even say that. And for us, like at CCC, we have yearly goals as well. So we really have things planned out, what needs to be done. Also, keep good records. So remember who you've contacted, who you need to reach out to, and periodically evaluate yourself or ask a co-worker to help you out to see how you're doing. It's great to get feedback. It's great to learn from past mistakes. I'm not embarrassed by mistakes. I just look at them as an opportunity for growth, and it's great. A little bit, what we got to have, developing a strategic prospecting plan. This is really just an example of a personal prospecting log that you might use. It's not saying that everyone's going to use this, but let's say you're trying to build your business. In this chart that you could easily develop in Word or Excel, there's many different programs you could use, Google Docs, a simple table so that you can put the date that you contacted the person or the company, the name of the company, the person that you talk to, because oftentimes we think that we'll be able to remember all these details, but a few hours go by and pretty soon that name is gone. So it's best to record it. The source of your lead, their phone number, the appointment, outcome of the call, if it was good or bad, and if you need to do any type of follow-up activity. So this is a great place to start your prospecting and record your prospecting. It's up to you, whatever works best for you, though, the method that you use. Okay, we've got just a few more slides. I think we're going to, in fact, get out of class a little bit earlier this time, if you guys are okay with that. We have our short ethical dilemma that I like to address each time. Ethical dilemma, and if I know not everyone will be able to read this. If you're on your computer, you probably can. Is Teresa Wolf has just completed her sales training for small engines, and she's really took to heart the importance of pre-call information gathering, which we mentioned earlier. Her company kept a customer profile and planning sheet that gathered information such as, and if you look over here, name, address, type of business, name of buyer, buyer's hobbies, decision maker in the company, key influences in the company, buyer profile, buyer personality type, name of owner, age of company, primary products produced, etc. So it may come as a surprise to some of you that many companies keep these. A customer profile that they can look back on. She had only been in her territory 2 weeks when her sales manager, Ted Hart, started receiving complaints from her prospects and customers. The callers complained that she had been aggressively collecting information on their company and buyers by interviewing everyone in their respective companies that would agree to see her. One caller, Jane Van Way, the lead buyer for Wisconsin Power Corporation and a key account for Foster Supply, even termed one of her sales calls as an interrogation. Yes, after reviewing her profile sheets, Hart was amazed at how complete they were. So she was being very thorough. She was filling out her customer profiles. Nevertheless, there was still the problem of how Wolf was going about getting the information. If you were Wolf, how might you go about researching and collecting the needed company and individual buyer information in a fashion that would not be perceived as so intrusive and so aggressive? So you guys give me some ideas. How could you find out some of this information without interrogating employees? What are some of the resources that you could use? Yes, Chris, in fact, that's probably the first thing that I would do as well, is simply go to their company website, and almost every company has one nowadays, and their LinkedIn profile. In fact, asking nicely instead of demanding the information, that's true, Blanca. Maybe she was a little too pushy. I still wouldn't go along with her tactics of talking to many people in the company, though, when there's a few things that she could really find out on her own, right? What's another resource that you might be able to use? Because it's pretty easy to get the company name, address, and company information off their website. It's also pretty easy to get the individual's professional information off LinkedIn, but what else might you use? Think of another big social networking site. Exactly, Blanca, exactly. So, you know, a lot of employers use Facebook to screen their applicants when they are applying for jobs. That's right. But it's also a great resource because, say you have the name of the buyer, you could pretty easily, if they had a Facebook page, you could pull up their Facebook page and learn a lot about them, maybe their hobbies, if they have a family, how many kids they have, because you really want to be able to connect with your buyer. So look at all the examples you guys just came up with that actually require no direct contact with the company itself. It's all the things that you could find out just digitally. So those are fantastic. Now here's a few more. The prospect's name. You could find out correct spelling and pronunciation from the receptionist, which would be a phone call, of course. You can also find out the prospect's correct title, because you don't want to call them by the incorrect title. Is the prospect willing to take risk? Are they confident with decision making? Well, the salesperson may have to ask the prospect about their willingness to take risks, so this may be something that you have to actually draw out of them. Is the prospect involved in the community? And what are their hobbies and interests? And on both of these, it basically says, look around their office when you go in for their first meeting. Look at the pictures that are on the wall. Look at the pictures that are on the desk. Have they received any awards? So even though they have this as something that you might do pre-call, this is actually some of the post-call stuff as well. So this would be meeting number one. Just observe the surroundings and see what's going on. What's the prospect's personality type? You would find that out by talking to them. Where was the prospect educated? Look for diploma on the wall, but Chris mentioned, looking on their LinkedIn page. If they have a LinkedIn page, chances are they're going to list where they went to college, maybe when they graduated. So this is all good information to know, especially if you can connect with that person. Maybe you went to that college as well, and you're like, hey, you went to CCC, awesome, so did I. We're like brother and sister now, right? So you want to be able to connect. Lastly, what type of business are we dealing with? Can generally be found from the directory or from the website. To what market does the company sell? You can look at annual reports. Many of these also listed online. And lastly, for whom does the prospect presently buy? And the salesperson may have to ask this information. Maybe you're wanting to win them over to your side. First, find out who they're dealing with. But if you watch the video link that I'm going to show you, just remember that it's important not to bash the competitor. You want to talk yourself up, your product up, and your service up, but you do not want to put another person down in the process. That winds up actually looking poorly on you. So don't do that, backfire. So right now, are there any questions or concerns that you have? Please remember the change in the due dates. If you have not turned in the Tuesday night assignment yet, please remember you still have until Thursday at midnight to get that in, since we've changed those due nights. I had several people that were having problems getting those in last night. So extended due date, yay! Also, check your email for your new assignment calendar that I sent out this morning as well. So nobody has questions? We're all good? Well, I would like to put up my virtual mint for you, tell you to have a good day. Here's some Altoids, if anybody likes those, mint or chocolate for those of you that do not like mint. And I know this makes no sense at all right now, but if you will watch the video link I'm going to send to you, this will all tie together and you'll go, oh, that's why she did that. So have a great day. You guys go on, and I will see you next Wednesday. Please email me if you have any questions, okay? Great. Thanks, Gal. You too, Blanca. Bye-bye.